guys. I'm super excited for this week's training and what we've got going on here. I've been anticipating this all week, so hopefully you can see my screen. If you're new to the tribe as a Premier Tribe member, if you're joining us for the first time, sorry guys, but this is a guy, and Emilio and Roberto, two guys right here that I've just grown to love. And just the impact that these guys have had on the tribe members and on the people that we've served as a community, it's been tremendous. It's really been tremendous. And I know a lot of you guys here that are joining us today have had that kind of impact as well. So this is going to be a little bit different, because I think what we're going to talk about here is a little bit of this mentality, this edge, this approach that Emilio and Roberto have brought into this business. And I think it's beyond this success thing. And it's at that point that I think Emilio and Roberto said, okay, yeah, there's this success level, but then there's this level of significance that's begun to take place. And they've kind of married themselves. Before it was success, the money, the houses, the whatever. And what we've seen is this transition, I think, happening, between Emilio and what they've done. There are very, very few people that haven't been touched by these guys. So again, I apologize for the emotion, but that's raw, and that's where it comes. So again, I'm Mike Baird. I'm the founder of this tribe. And so let's just kind of jump into this. And when I talk about Emilio, when I talk about Roberto, when I talk about, the difference that these guys have started to make, I went through some of the previous Facebook posts, Emilio, and hopefully this was okay to do. And as I went through this, I just started looking at photos of you working with Dustin and Melissa and doing a profit sharing plan. You and Jake and the team reaching out and making a further donation to Entre Amigos and those guys. And then Josh and the Bergens. And I start just going through all this over and over again. And then I come back to like your first deal, in March of 2017. This is your first deal, right? Or one of your very first deals, right, Emilio?
This is my second deal. This is the one that you guys fund. Okay,
so we funded the second deal like a month or two when you got back from that initial Mexico trip, right?
Yeah, but the first one was on March 22nd. Just was 1 week before this one. So it was right there. We were closing both at the same time.
So you closed one on March 22nd, closed the next one on March 30th of 17. That's kind of when things just started to roll with you. So talk to me about this side of it, Emilio, when you talk about this Cuban mentality that you've brought into your business. Like how do you define that, and how do some of us gringos, start to benefit from this mentality? Let's talk about that mentality first, and then let's talk about some of the results and some of the deals and stuff you're doing. So walk me through, some of that.
Okay, so first of all, thank you, Mike, for the opportunity to be here with all of you guys. And of course, it's a pleasure for us to be here and share with you guys a little bit of our story. Like Mike said before, Roberto is still on at a property that we're trying to close tomorrow, but he's gonna try to join us sometime later. Jumping in the Cuban mentality, so I arrived to the United States in 2006. So, and I would say with 33 years old, so I would say for coming into a new country, a new culture, a new language, a new everything, it was kind of old, jumping into a new life with 33 married men with 2 kids at that point. And it was tough. It was tough. But then you have that, and I always have this conversation with Mike. we always have that extra motivation because you left, everything you knew or grow up or your home place or whatever behind, and to start a new life and to do better for your family. So then there is no like a place that you can fall on if things go wrong. So you got no choice to make it happen. It's do or die. It's do or die. We kind of I had the chance to go back to my previous career and start working in the Miami International Airport. I went all the way up to operation manager for UPS, and Roberto the same. So I started working in retail and went all the way up to a store manager for CBS. Pretty successful, I would say, for a couple of immigrants from Cuba, trying to adapt to a new country, a new culture. But then we were missing what I believe is the most important thing in life. We were missing time with people that you really care the most, with your family, your loved one, the kids.
Don't be going all Mike Baird on me, bro. Don't be getting all crazy.
On a Sunday, actually Saturday, Roberto came home and he mentioned this crazy seminar that was going on. I know I'm very structured type of number. I need to see it before I do whatever. He's more like all in right there. I don't care. Let's roll the dice. Let's do it. Whatever. So I'm trying always to put the brakes on Roberto. So we went the next day, the very next day on Sunday, and I'm glad that Billy is on here because I got the chance to meet Billy Babson that day and Brian and Mike downtown Miami. So it makes sense all the thing that they were trying to sell. So we jump in. We got no choice. That was September of 2016. We kind of apply that Cuban mentality or like, that we got no choice of other than succeed. It's failing is not an option. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. So we kind of rushed through the first 90 days, and then on January we went with Mike to Mexico. And like Mike said, we came back from Mexico full of energy and relationships. So we closed our first deal on March 22nd. And then we're closing our number 42. We were working on 41, and yesterday Roberto just got the next one.
What do you say to folks to say, hey, I'm new to the tribe. How do I leverage the tools and the assets and the relationships in the tribe, and how do I get that momentum to start?
Okay, so one of the things that we first learned from people into the business and Mike, and it's all about persistency. You need to be persistent. Whatever you're doing today, you have to do it tomorrow, the very next day, and so on and so forth. Because you never know when your next deal is gonna come from. You never know. So you shouldn't stop because you got a couple of no's today. Guess what? You're getting closer to a yes. We always learn from the very beginning, just stick to your number. Stick to your numbers, do your math, stick to your formula. And if your number is 195, guess what? Don't push the deal. Don't push it, because then you're gonna fail. Don't push it. If 195 is your number, 195 it is. So we tell the realtor, guess what? It's 195. We're good. If we have to let it go, we gotta let it go. Can you see it? Can you guys see it?
Yep, they're good.
Okay,
So talk us through this deal. And by the way, can you maybe jump to Google really quick and just give us a visual for what this house actually looks like? It looks like it's a 1,500 square feet built in 55, but just maybe jump into Google Maps real quick and just walk me down that street so we can have a visual for what we're looking at.
This is I'm glad that you asked, because this is one of those neighborhoods that, okay, can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see your screen great.
Okay, so this is a tricky neighborhood. I don't know if it's anybody here in on this call from South Florida, Miami, but this is kind of tricky. This is kind of tricky neighborhood. So I'm basically,
and define tricky for us, because again, those of us that are new are like, what do you mean tricky? I mean, it's very sensitive, a couple one way or the other. Is that what you mean by that? There's a couple major dividers or what?
Yes, you got like 150,000 split just one block from one house to the other.
So how do you know that? How do you know that? You just done enough deals in this neighborhood, you've driven them, you've talked to people. Like, how do you come to that realization is, hey, this is tricky?
Okay, so we have done a couple of deals here on this part of this neighborhood. So we have done here, we have done 2 deals. So we know that like a mile north from here, this is kind of tricky, because this over here onto 109 Street, this is one neighborhood.
But by the way, we can't see your Google Maps. We can see the I don't know if you're on Google Maps. Sounds like you are, but we can just see your main spreadsheet.
Oh, let me. Okay.
Emilio, stop sharing this one. Oh, there you go. You got it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and show us that neighborhood. And by the way, this reminds me of the times we first started doing deals, and I'm like, Emilio, have you driven this? Have you seen this? What, you know what I mean? You remember that?
Yes. And I always remember Mike telling me, you have to drive your comps and you have to switch hats. So if you don't switch hat, you won't have that mentality from an end buyer's perspective. So you need to drive your comps.
We say put the buyer hat on. You're like, take the investor hat off, put the buyer hat on, and go, if I'm buying here, where are my values? How am I looking, right? So
yes, what you need to find out what the end buyer is expecting, what are the expectations for that area.